That was not right.
All right, you are live, George. We're live. Welcome, everybody. I think we're a minute late. It's not bad. That's not bad for us. Wim is asking what country we're from. We're in the U.S. We're in Florida at the moment. I don't know if he's asking us or just everybody on the stream.
Probably
hey, Darren,
everybody on
how's
the
it
stream.
going?
Why don't you ask what country he's from?
Oh, yeah. What country are you from? He may have already answered that, which he did. Belgium.
Oh, Belgium, huh?
We got Belgium. We got Canadian and Ireland. We got Canada.
What's up with the Belgium?
Holland.
What's that? The chocolate has Belgium? Belgium chocolate? I know a lot of, right?
Belgium chocolate. That rings a bell.
Belgium.
Yeah, that's.
Is it true that that Sam is going to be on the show today?
There were rumors.
Okay, but you cannot confirm or deny.
I cannot confirm or deny. His exact whereabouts at this point are not exactly known. Gorilla, I'm in the U.S., but originally from the Netherlands. Frank is from Hungary. Well, hello,
When do you want to give the
world.
breaking news, Tom? When do you want to give the breaking news? It is so funny, the news that we got to share with you. I am still laughing about it.
Let's wait until we get...
Okay, it's so funny, guys.
Hello, Martin. Hello, Darren. Hello, Kyle.
Chocolate. Nom, 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 nom. I'm on a diet, so it's even worse for me. Why won't this work?
What are you trying to do?
Make money in the stock market?
Oh, well, that don't work.
It doesn't exist, huh?
It's
Tom, did I tell you today at lunch what would happen? And did it happen exactly the way I said it would happen?
You were right on.
I was so aggravated when I saw that. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I got the George icon. I don't know if you guys can see it yet, though.
No, that one was right on, dude. That can't. You got to do another icon.
Oh, we need a... That's right.
Yeah. Like maybe like the wizard has or something like that.
All right, we got to get a...
Dude, I said what's going to happen, Tom, is as soon as the market closes, it's going to 17,000. I said it's going to start to pump then. What is it? Where is it now?
It's at 1726. Where are we going to go?
We're going up.
We're going up to... Are we getting...
17,054. It's at 17,053.
Oh, wow, you're really going out on a limb, George. Man, that's wow.
I'm going way out, Tom. Tom had some interesting news this week. Very interesting, Tom. You guys will... Very interesting.
Lots of news. Big news on the channel.
Good stuff.
Brandon is saying that I am SBF and SBF is me. That is incorrect.
No way.
I have
Did anybody watch that interview?
Fresh
with
haircut here. That automatically nullifies me from being SBF. Once Bitcoin heads to 20K, we will all be making money, said Brown Buoy, or something to that effect.
Buoy.
Gorilla, 18,000 this weekend. That would be nice. That would be, you know what? I'm not greedy.
I see it going toward, 18, 18.5, 18.6 maybe.
Here's the first thing. We got to get past this stupid line. 17,567. That was the flash crash from back in June. So we got to have, I mean, we're right there. We got to get above that, and then we can start running. I would like to see us get back to 19,200. That, I'm not saying that's going to happen over the weekend. I'm just saying sometime in the next week I feel like that's doable. Brandon's saying 14K or 20K, question mark.
Neither one of those I think are, I don't think it's going to get to 20, and I don't think it's going to get to 14.
You think we're in a tighter range
We're in
now?
a tighter. That's why I didn't say anything. I don't know. I think
Martin
I
is
think
saying
next Thursday, Friday, whatever day it is, when Congress starts to do their little um whatever what are they calling it?
the thing they
Committee
do.
findings on cryptocurrencies. I think that people think that we might get a little bump from that. I don't know. I don't know. I think we're in for a long haul for another year.
The short, it's getting harder and harder to predict the short term.
Yeah, it is.
But Martin has a sound prediction. We will
But
all be millionaires in 2025.
But listen, ding, 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 ding.
Uh-oh.
Full moon on the 7th. So that's when full moon on the 7th.
Which is
I'm not
good or
saying
bad?
bad.
Full moon's bad?
Usually, but it could be a reverse moon. It could be a beaver moon.
How do we... How
You
do
think
we...
I'm joking?
how do
There's
we-
such thing as what's called the beaver moon.
I'm not familiar with that.
There's
morning, Barry.
A
Welcome.
harvest moon, a beaver moon, a whole bunch of
I heard of the
moon,
harvest moon.
blue moon.
There's like a blood moon.
bloodbath.
Heard of that? Well, that's the market.
That was a few weeks ago.
Douglas
right?
says risk on from here on out. All right. I hope you're right, Douglas. It would be about time. Hello, Malik.
Didn't he mean fish on? Fish on. Sorry.
I mean, look at today. Forget the market. All right, so you had just quickly, so we're actually talking about the market for a second. This is the 8:15 candle. This is the 8:30 candle. This is when jobs came out. So the jobs number came out this morning, and everybody pressed the panic button. We had a giant red candle in Bitcoin. All the pre-market went from green to red immediately. And we kind of battled our way back all day long and went up. That was a ridiculous reaction. Where's stock market news live updates? Stocks fall after stronger than expected job report. I just don't understand. I know exactly why they're doing it. I just don't understand why people have now gotten to they're changing their mind with the wind. It's like, Jerome Powell just said 2 days ago he's gonna slow down the pace of the rate hikes, but you can expect more rate hikes in total for a longer period of time. So, he said those words out of his mouth. We know what he's gonna do. So this morning we get a better than expected job number, and everybody panics that that gives him cover to raise rates. Well, he already told us what he was gonna do. So this was a non-news event. This is the kind of trading that is you just gotta close your eyes and wait for it to pass, because there was no, and I mean, it even hit, you can see, to the minute, it hit Bitcoin. Boom, that one giant red candle. And then we spent the rest of the day getting where are we now? We're exactly back to where we were on that candle when the day started. Or when the jobs report came out. So it was all a big wash. It's nothing.
Take my icon off so they can see the thing better.
I forgot it was on. That's the board. Kyle's asking, anybody else notice the buy high, sell low installment from Bitfarms? Aside from the 40 million to 20 million trade on Bitcoin in the spring, the CEO keeps on selling stock. Latest is November 20th, 1 million shares at approximately 77 cents. So I have not been tracking that. So, I mean, 1 million shares at 77 cents. I'm not sure how many shares they own. They're coming up on, I think there's a couple 100 million shares of that outstanding. And then Kyle saying it's very frustrating as a shareholder. I mean, you don't like to see, but I would want to know, is that a part of some structured, a lot of these people cash out in a way where they've, a year ago they said, we're going to do this and then this and then this and then this. So, or, are they just bailing on their own stock? You'd like to start seeing them buy shares at 50 something cents, not sell them.
Yeah, 7. I mean, I think he knows it's going lower.
See, I just did a Bitfarms video yesterday. I know they made a mistake. They made a big financial mistake early in the year, and it puts them in a different position.
What was the big miss?
They opened a line of credit. They secured it with Bitcoin, and then they went and bought Bitcoin for $40,000 of Bitcoin, a little bit over that, I think. So ultimately, they had to sell all that Bitcoin at $20,000.
Oh, he did sell them all? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, that was no good.
Just realize, people, that even people that have millions and millions of dollars make dumb mistakes, too. And what was the mistake? The only mistake he made was selling. That was the mistake. He didn't forecast out his cash flow properly.
He didn't cash flow. He did not put a scenario in his cash flow where Bitcoin got down to $20,000. That's exactly right. That's the mistake that he made. He didn't have that scenario, because if he did, he would have known that at that point they were going to be out of cash.
Think about this. When I love thinking about college, there's like only a few things I remember. And one of the things I remember is when you do a forecast of where you're going to be, you do a best case, most likely, and a worst case. So I can't believe no one didn't do a worst case scenario. And I don't even think we're in the worst case scenario yet, FYI. I think we're approaching it, but I don't believe we're there yet.
I think there was such euphoria that even if they did that, and again, I do not support what they did. It's obviously, in hindsight, it's the easiest call ever. And the other thing is, somebody made a comment yesterday, and it rings true to me. It's like, why would you buy the thing you're mining? You already mine the thing you're mining. Why are you buying it? So, that would be like a gold miner. Instead of selling their gold, they're out on the open market buying it at retail price in addition to mining it. It doesn't. So in every way, in hindsight, that it was clearly not the right thing to do. But having said that, their operational updates are spectacular. For the entire year, they have been on fire. So for 3 or 4 months in a row, they were the number 2 Bitcoin producer out of all the Bitcoin miners. A couple now have caught up and are doing, they're probably going to end up more like 4th or 5th, but they're still a top 5 Bitcoin miner for sure. There's a clear top 5, and they're in it. But everybody, their stock's at 57 cents right now. That's what it is. And there's a lot of people that feel like Kyle that are just pissed at management, think they did a bad job, and now, I'm seeing that they're selling shares. Kyle saying, I like what Bitfarms is doing to correct the error, though, as you mentioned in your video yesterday. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. Yeah, I mean, now that they've made the mistake is made. It's like there's no going back and undoing it. So at this point...
How many did they buy, Tom?
They bought, I can't remember, 1,000 maybe?
Okay.
And it was just, it just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense.
It's only, I mean, everybody's going to say this is a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. It's only $20 million.
They spent, it must have been more than that. I thought they spent like $40 or $60 million, and I'm just, don't quote me on that. I'm just trying to remember back to when, but it was a part of, they opened up a $100 million line of credit, securing it with their big, and that was their simultaneous mistake. I mean, the $100 million line of credit secured with their Bitcoin, and all of these were at rates where, the amount kept in custody had to be significantly more than the loan itself was. So that just added insult to injury as Bitcoin continued to reduce in price. All of a sudden, it consumed all of their Bitcoin. So that's what happened. But they are chipping away. Their balance sheet is looking better every quarter. So I'm satisfied with what 43. They're doing. I think they have.
I mean, you know what though? If it would have went up, they would have looked like a hero.
Right.
And remember, there was a lot of people that said they didn't think Bitcoin was going to go much lower than like 30.
Right.
And didn't you also say something about it's never crossed down past?
Right. This is the first time in history we've ever taken out the previous bull cycle's high. So that was, give or take, that was $20,000. So that has never happened before in the history of Bitcoin. So obviously this time we took that out and we've been below it for months and months and months. So this is a totally different cycle. They were counting on, as was everybody, a giant run up in Bitcoin, or at least having it stay where it is. But they were thinking like, we don't want to miss the run up. We're mining as much as we can. We'll double down on it and show everybody how much we are, all in on Bitcoin, and we're gonna even go buy some more. But that did not work out well. It just didn't.
I think that gets to the fact that this is what it is that when you talk about large numbers and you look at how you run a business, I think this is what we all suffer from, is we all like buy on credit. When it's borrowed money, it's credit, and you should, right? I mean, and you should always plan for the worst case scenario. I've always operated in the worst case scenario, and that seems to have worked out for me because it always seems to always come true.
Well, you have to make sure that in the worst case scenario, and you're right, it's no different if you're a publicly traded company or a privately traded company or a big business or a small business. The same thing puts every single business out of business, and that is that they run out of cash. Yeah. So you've got to plan for every scenario, and every scenario within reason. Obviously, there's totally unreasonable, unforeseeable things that could happen, but Bitcoin going down does not fall into that category. Like, that was a foreseeable potential scenario.
Yeah, I guess it probably wasn't foreseeable to think that it would go lower than 20, but they sold it at 20, so based on history, that seemed to be a very unlikely scenario. So it seemed like a safe bet, but it was a bet, and it was and it wasn't even a bet with their own money. They borrowed money and made a bet with it. That was my point. They borrowed the money,
right?
And you know what? And you know what? And you're always careless with other people's money. OPM, man. OPM. Sorry. OPP, yeah, you know me.
Kyle's saying that I was copying Sue from HUD 8, her indirect comment on Bitfarms during our last interview with her. She was talking about buying what you mine. Okay, so I did not remember that we talked about that, and Kyle, it must have been you that left that comment on the channel as well. So yeah, I mean, that just rang true to me. It's like, why double your risk? I mean, it's like being a home builder and then buying a bunch of extra homes.
Yeah, that somebody else built at retail.
Right.
Yeah.
JM said, I have a lot of Bitfarm and want to hold, but would swing out if we knew a split was coming. So I will just address that, JM, and to everybody who's watching. I'm on record. Reverse splits do not scare me at all. They just don't scare me. I don't know that Bitfarm's even going to have to do a reverse split. I really thought they were not going to have to, but they are now getting down to a point where at some point, they're going to be, if they are forced to, they will do a reverse split. But it's not a dilution. Everybody has to remember, there's bad karma associated with a reverse split because most companies do a reverse split because they're doing so poorly that their stock is so beaten down that the only way not to get delisted is to do a reverse split. Well, it so happens that in the Bitcoin mining sector, every single one of these stocks, if you watched my video last weekend, the best performing Bitcoin mining stock is down 93% from its highs from last year. So every single stock in this industry has been absolutely destroyed. So they find themselves at 57 cents. If, I think there's 180 days, if by then this doesn't correct itself, and I think it will, because their market cap is ridiculous, then they'll have to do a reverse split. And for me personally, I know a lot of people get spooked by that, and if you were just to look at raw statistics, you go, well, a lot of people that do reverse splits go out of business. Well, that's because that's the reason, their business was doing poorly in the first place. But I'm looking at these businesses going, every single one is down between 93% and 99%. So do you believe that every single Bitcoin miner is going out of business? And some of you might say, yes, that you do believe that. And if you do, yeah, then you shouldn't buy these. If you don't believe that, then you should try and find the best 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and, have a portfolio of them. Not financial advice, but that's how I look at it. I mean, there's everything got thrown out. So this often happens in the market. It's happening across all of the small cap high growth stocks. There's so many stocks down more than 90%. You very rarely see this type of massive number of stocks down in the 90s.
I just thought of somebody you should interview.
What are you thinking?
Karen from Charles Schwab.
Oh,
remember her?
Now I do. I forgot. I didn't even remember who you were talking about.
Sorry, I was talking to her the other day, and I just thought that was interesting. Never, sorry. I go off these tangents.
She'd probably get in trouble if she talked to us. Let's see. Todd saying, does anyone else
We went up to 55, now we're to 51. I can't tell the comment. We got to be at 60 before I tell you what happened to Tom. When did that happen, Tom? What day?
I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Oh, that's funny.
It was yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
I can't remember. Yes, Todd's asking, does anyone else own Riot, CleanSpark, Hut, and Bitfarms? So those are definitely 4 of mine. And then somebody answered, hi Todd, those are Tom's favorite miners. I own 3 of those. And yeah, I like all those miners. So that's my personal opinion. Dice Forever saying, I remember Sue saying that the reason Hut 8 hodled because after the next halving, there will never mine hold as much Bitcoin again. That might be the same reason why Bitfarms bought Bitcoin on a loan. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they made a decision based on the way everything played out. It was the wrong decision, but you know, if we got to look back on all our decisions, we'd get 100% of them right. But you know, so they made a mistake, and that might have been their line of reasoning is let's get them now. Let's buy them at 40 because we think, you know, they're going to be 200 after the halving. So, and it's going to get harder and harder to mine them.
Dude, I told you 24. You bought these options at 23.
Huh? What?
No, I was looking at E-Trade. Oof, I shouldn't have opened it up. The 10K challenge, guys. I'm looking at the 10K challenge.
Oh, don't do it. Don't.
It's not been a very good challenge. I'm glad we didn't do the $100,000 challenge. Tom's the one that talked me out of that one.
That's why we did the 10K challenge.
He said, "Let's do the 10K to 100 because that's it's easy to. Oh, it's ugly."
Let's see, Eric's saying
60. We're down. Should I say it or no?
Yeah. I mean, it's beat up. You guys saw the portfolio.
It's 80%, right? Yeah.
I'm not looking at it. You are right now.
78%.
Yeah, it's gotten. I mean, Romeo was in the portfolio. They went out of business. I mean, technically, they got bought for pennies on the dollar, so that got destroyed. I had 3 Bitcoin miners in there. And remember, the biggest thing, my big regret about that situation is what I would like to do maybe next year is do $10,000, but, you know, $100 a week for the year so that you can dollar cost average in over the course of time like we all did in our personal portfolios. And that portfolio, you know, you're stuck. And I still believe, I don't want to sell, other than Romeo, which failed, I still like every stock in that portfolio. So
I want to do some crazy trades with it. I want to sell everything. We got $2,000 left, and let's do some crazy trades with it.
We can if you want. I mean,
I think you gotta. I think you come on. We gotta, dude. It's time for a Hail Mary or we're swinging for the fence. How many times can we hit a home run?
Yeah, if we hit 2 or 3 in a row, that's all it takes. But if we miss one, that's all it takes too.
Done. Yeah. That's crazy. I'm just looking at this CleanSpark. Oof. Bitfarm. Ugh. Hut. Ugh.
I mean,
Curiosity Stream. I told you to stay away from them.
I still like them. I still like Curiosity. It's good.
But you don't want to sell any of these, do you?
That's 5 years from now, you're going to love those stocks. Maybe it's 3 years from now, but right now they are a nightmare. And we didn't get the dollar cost average into any of them because of the way that we set it up. So I'm not.
Is AYRO going to make it?
Arrow, yes, that stock is that they have twice as much cash as they have market cap. So I'm not worried about Arrow. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's the fact that
Nano Dimensions.
This is
okay?
we are in a Nano Dimensions has like $600 million more cash than their market cap is, and they have no debt at all. So the chances of them going out of business are, I'm gonna say they round down to zero. Like there could be some like act of God earthquake that swallows them from the face of the earth or something, but like it's the most sound.
We've seen it.
Right, but their balance sheet is the most sound balance sheet in the entire stock market, in my opinion. So are they going out of business? No.
I got one for you. The only one that looks like we could lose on is Stronghold.
And that's
the only one you bought.
That's the last one we bought, and you and I talked about it, and we liked what that company does.
I like what they stand for. I mean, how can you not?
I'm pulling for them, and we own a little bit, and I hope they get to where they're going. So,
did you do a deep dive on Stronghold or no? Never.
I have, yes. I don't know that anybody watched it, but I did one.
Oh, really? No one cares.
If it's not one of the big name miners, you get a lot less people interested, and it doesn't circulate around in the algorithm as much. So.
Wow.
I'm just reading to catch up. I fell way behind on the...
Sorry, we got going. Everybody expects to become a millionaire trading stocks. I think that's the honest answer. And no one believes they're going to lose. And, hey, we're just being real, and we lost too.
Right. And this is why you have to play a long-term game. We jumped in and started a challenge at what we did not realize was quite literally the beginning of the worst year the stock market's had in 50-something years. So the portfolio is not looking good. We'll see how it plays out over time. But that's why we really should have done it $100 a week or $200 a week, whatever, for the year. So that we could have dollar cost averaged in. We'd still be down, but I would still feel good about all the stocks, and we'd have a lot better average than we do right now, like in our personal portfolios. I mean, I'm down in my personal portfolios, but not like that. I mean, that's...
I'm close to that, but not that.
Daywalker's asking, if you had to go all in on one miner, which one would it be?
Okay, you go first.
So the disqualifier is I would never do this. But if I had,
I would.
George would. That's right, George would. If I had to go all in on one miner, I would be. And this is so this is not my favorite miner, but it's a conservative pick. It's a safe pick. I would go all in on Riot if I had to just pick one. Because their balance sheet is just so strong, I feel that my money is the safest. If I had to put all my eggs in one basket, if things got ugly with Bitcoin for the next 18 months, even somebody like CleanSpark might be in trouble, but Riot's not going to be, in my opinion. So that's the reason that I would answer that. And I think they have a lot more upside.
Where do you think they need to go for trouble?
Their balance sheet is so strong that the thing is, I think they have...
No, CleanSpark.
Oh.
Where would you said that about trouble if, CleanSpark could get into it? Where would it be?
CleanSpark's been very smart, but listen, if Bitcoin goes down to... If they're losing money per Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin goes down to $12,000, right? They can't do that for a year. They're out of business way before then. And that's not a knock on them.
Can they do that for a month or 2 months?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why wouldn't you pick HUD 8?
Riot and HUD 8 are tied for me, so I could have said HUD 8. You're right. I kind of have said in a video in the middle of the week, I did say those two to me are tied as the safest bet. So, right.
The power problem right now.
Well, I'm not even worried about the power problem. By the way, we are going to talk to Sue next week. Finally, at last, we settled on a date on that. So we're good to get her on the channel. So we can ask her directly about some of these things. I'm not that worried about that power situation. They're have an extremely strong balance sheet. I think they could last for a very long time. Just Riot is even scaled up. They're bigger than that. They have a lot more institutional. BlackRock owns some of Riot,
Vanguard,
the usual suspects. So
right.
The market, look at the board today. We're half green, half red, but Riot and Marathon, Riot's up 8%, Marathon's up 11%. On a day where a lot of these Bitcoin miners were red. The market was sideways, right? It was down or sideways all day. Bitcoin was fairly sideways all day, and Riot and Marathon had a huge rally. Now, some of the smaller market caps had a huge rally. TeraWolf, stock ticker Wolf, was up over 14%. Cypher was up over 14%. Those are two much, much smaller cap companies, and those two companies are very, very different from each other. So how they acted the same today, I have a very different opinion on both of those companies. One of those is not like the other, in my opinion.
One of these things is not like the other.
Daywalker's saying mine is CleanSpark. I mean, CleanSpark might be the one. If somebody told me, look, we're never going under $15,000 on Bitcoin, then I might pick CleanSpark. And I don't think we ever are. I think it's an outlying, extremely unlikely scenario. But this is George's worst case scenario thing that he's talking about. If I have to put all my money in one thing, I do not want a scenario out there that, even if it's got a 5% chance of happening, that wipes me out.
Well, that's good.
Kyle saying, again of Bitfarms, Tom, you mentioned in your video that they may be trying to control expenses by delaying Argentina installations and using the import ban as a reason. I mean, that's my speculation. That's what makes sense to me. They've got good, solid cover, because there is a problem, getting stuff in and out, and it's a little unstable there right now. But to me, if I was them, that's all a part of the strategy that I like. If it's by accident, well, then it's by accident. But I would tend to guess that they're pretty happy about the fact that they had to slow down in Argentina, and that is helping them clear out. They're down to 16. They had $100 million on this line of credit. They got it down to $16 million at this point. So it's now a manageable situation. But it took, they wanted to get to 8 exahash at the end of the year, and they're at 4.4. Still, that was more than doubling their exahash this year, so it was a great year operationally, but it was not the year that they thought they were going to have. But this is not the year that everybody thought Bitcoin was going to have, right? I mean, no. Everybody's January 1st plans for Bitcoin went out the window somewhere in March, April, May, June. So other than, there's one company that actually beat their beginning of the year plans, and that's CleanSpark. So they were extremely opportunistic, and they're now at 5.5 exahash, which is more than they expected to be when the year started. So, and that's why I like CleanSpark, and so they're one of my larger positions, and I'm a fan, so I like what they did. They didn't borrow $100 million. So they also sold their Bitcoin all the while as they went along, so they got to average out of Bitcoin, right? Because they were selling it when they were mining it at 60,000, they were selling it at 50,000, they were selling it. So they got to average out of Bitcoin on its descent all year long versus the vast majority of the other Bitcoin miners that ended up selling. Bitfarms, Core Scientific sold like 10,000 Bitcoin under $20,000. I mean, their entire hodl just disappeared on them. and we all know where they're at right now. So my feeling on them is that, in my non-professional opinion, I don't see how they make it from here. I just don't. I don't see how they survive. Just
Okay, we're at 64, Tom. Can I tell everybody, or you want to tell them?
go ahead. You're up.
You're never gonna believe who reached out to Tom. Marathon. So he hasn't got. Have you gotten back to him, or?
No, I did not get back to them. I will get back to them. So it's funny because we were joking about it on last Friday's live stream. Like, I doubt we're ever going to hear from Marathon. So sure enough, I think somebody there watched the live stream and they got a hold of me.
I don't think we were mean. I just think we're rational, actually, and I think they hate that because we're very sensible in our thought process of what we're talking about. We're not talking about things that are they're concerning and they're troubling for an investor.
Right. I think we've been very fair on that. And the best indication of that for me is there's certain people that think I hate Marathon, and yet because I've, also pointed out the good things they've done, there's certain people that think I love Marathon and that Marathon's paying me to make videos. So that means I've just been reporting. That's not necessarily the right word. I've been just talking about what's actually happening, and some of it's been good and some of it's been disturbing to me. And October was great. So, before in September, I said if they do this in October, then I'll be very pleased with their performance, and they did it. But in November, it looks like they're going to fall short of that, and I've talked about it. So they would like to come on the channel as well and just talk about what's going on. So I got so many questions. Right, we haven't gotten a chance to talk to them, so I got an awful lot of questions that I'd love to ask them directly. So,
no, and I think that's comes with I guess age is maybe wisdom. Hopefully, some people, a few people. I know a lot of people that are my age and older. They're still they're chasing tail all over the place. It's like they don't have any wisdom yet.
Some people never grow up.
No, I mean I haven't grown up, so I understand that. Right, but that's amazing though, Tom. That you should be. That's impressive. I think it's because you think it's because you did Riot.
Well, I'm sure they noticed that the CEO of Riot came on and we had a nice conversation, and then there's not a lot of people that talk about these stocks, so they can't help but notice.
Right.
And
have you changed your long-term forecast on Bitcoin at all?
No, my long-term picture for Bitcoin, I still feel basically the same. My year-end target, we are now in December. My year-end target's not happening. So, right. Short-term, I'm going to just already call it and say that I was wrong for the end of the year. But in the long term, I don't think anything has fundamentally changed. I think we're washing out all of these painful steps that we're taking along the way, right? They're all happening in very rapid succession. Like the vast majority of bad things that were going to happen did happen in 2022. That doesn't mean nothing bad is left. There could still be some more stuff ahead, but all the good things that were going to happen, all the things we were counting on regulations so that institutions would start coming in and retirements would start coming in. We were counting on an ETF. There's a laundry list of things that we thought would be long since done by now, and none of those things happened. So those catalysts are all still out there.
How long can they keep doing that to the ETF?
It blows my mind that there's not an ETF. They have some amount of cover because everybody's arguing over regulations, and then as each one of these disasters happen, they get to go see. But the hypocrisy is there's an ETF on Bitcoin futures. So how can you say that's okay, but it's not okay on Bitcoin? It makes no sense. They're gonna lose. They're in a lawsuit that they're gonna lose. But the question is, how long can they drag it out? And just ask XRP. It can be a long time.
Yeah, that's true. Is there an ETF in Canada?
I feel like there is an ETF in Canada. I'm pretty sure the answer to that. We've got some Canadian people with us. is there an ETF in Canada? I thought that there was. In the meantime, I'm going to try and read and catch up. Hut is less efficient and smaller than Riot. That was from Jay, and that's true. They've been less efficient and they're smaller, and you know, the more cash reserves you have, the bigger you are. And they both. The good thing about both of those is they have either next to zero or zero debt, with a lot of liquidity. So we got Daywalker saying 200K. I don't know what that's in response to.
Maybe he's saying Bitcoin's going to 200K.
Bitcoin 200K, Daywalker? When?
I'll take it. So it would be 10x from here, right? Well, like 11 maybe.
Yeah.
12.
And that's not crazy. The thing is, it's all about perspective, right? Because here we sit at 17,000, and you guys all know that 1 year ago, if somebody would have said a year from now Bitcoin's going to be at 17,000, if you told 1,000 people in the know, you know, like we are, not insiders, but people that, you know the Bitcoin and trade either the cryptocurrencies or cryptocurrency related stocks, I don't think 1% of those people would have said, if they had a list of choices, where's Bitcoin going to be? I think less than 1% of those people would have said under $20,000. But here we are. So now, being here, it's just as hard to fathom that, you know what? The next thing you know, we could be over $100,000, because that looks impossible from here. And right now, people will laugh at you if you say, well, you know what? I think Bitcoin is going to rally to 100,000 in a couple years. They'll go, I think it's going to be gone. I mean, that's the new narrative. I'm going to do a video. Like, now there's a lot of people saying, it's all going to disappear, and pretty soon. And I don't see that scenario at all.
Okay, let's do probabilities. I guess we should do it with Bitcoin, right? A most likely, a realistic
price point.
Worst case, yeah. Worst case, best case. End of next year, a year from now, 2023. Go.
Okay. First? One year from now, worst case, likely case, best case.
Yes.
And when I say worst case, for me, that's the most reason. That's, again, barring some other thing that we don't know anything about right now. That's like
Black Swan event.
Well, the world's economy falls apart.
World War III or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So those things aside, to me, 25,000 is a worst case scenario for next year. That I can't even fathom that December 31st, 2023, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin 25,000. So that would be my worst case scenario.
25, right? And the halving is, what is it, in 24? April of 24 is when it's roughly right around there? March, April?
Yeah, I think April of 24 is when it's anticipated.
Right, I know it's not exact because it depends on mining and stuff like that.
But it should be pretty close.
If, let's say, the hash rate goes way down, could it extend out?
No, because they make adjustments. That is the difficulty adjustment. Every 2 weeks, if it's getting mined too fast, they make it harder to mine. And they adjust it every 2 weeks so that they try over the course of time that every block should be 10 minutes long on the average over the course of time. So like right now, they've done so many increases in the difficulty level that we're at almost 11 minutes. For a couple of days ago, we were over 11 minutes a block. So it's likely we're going to get a downward in the difficulty level the next time. However, having said that, I can show you guys this chart because this to me is mystifying. You guys let me know what you think about this. I just don't even necessarily know that I believe these hash rate charts.
Oh, as you pull that up, I'm going to say worst case scenario 3,000. Most likely case probably be a little bit higher than where we are right now. And best case would be your number, 25,000.
So you're saying 3,000 is worst case. You're saying maybe 17 or 18,000 is your likely case scenario, and 25,000 is your best case scenario.
Yes. Yep.
All right. That's George.
It's gonna be a rough year.
I'm writing them down.
We should write this down. Who's writing them down? Call me out on today's the day of the poop. So 12/2/2023. We're getting ready for that next year. The day of the poop. You've heard of like Cinco de Mayo, right?
I don't know where you're going, but I'm not coming with you.
12/2/22. 2 represents poop. So today's the day of the poop. Poop emoji. Sorry. Go ahead. We got up to 11 and a half minutes. Started coming down. Oh, and just so you guys know, I have not sold or done anything with any of my holdings. They're still the same, but that probably will change next week.
George has held, but yes, tell him your day. I mean, you've been pretty consistent about what you think
the full
is
moon.
Happen.
I don't want people to start thinking I'm crazy about the full moon. The beaver moon.
The beaver moon. That's not real.
It really is real. That's what's sad. It's so true. And here's my reason for my prediction.
Go ahead.
Is because whoever they are they don't want Bitcoin is a truth machine, and they don't want the truth.
Are you saying they can't handle the truth?
They can't handle. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. My mere existence will grotesque.
Listen, I think there's a million reasons why this has happened, and you're right. Who knows how long? So what George is basically saying is, look, they brought the pain all in 2022. I think they're going to bring it all, the pain again, all of 2023.
Well, and I don't see an outlook right now for a good next year in 2023. We have supply chain problem, major supply chain problems, right? We have a worker problem in this country. There's a lot of problems right now that is going to be
We have worker problems. We have energy problems. We have almost every country on the map that's in or moving towards a recession. I mean, there's a lot of that. But it's the funny thing about the market to me. By the time all of that's a topic of discussion, the market's already priced a lot of that in. So that's just my feeling.
Do you think all that's already priced in? You think a total running out of diesel, a strike with the railroad, do you think that's all priced in?
I think that it's not priced into the equity markets yet. I think that you're going to see Bitcoin has found a range that's this is their nightmare range, and it's held in here very strong no matter what has happened to the equities. So I think the divergence from this the Bitcoin being married to the NASDAQ and cryptocurrencies being so heavily correlated with the NASDAQ, I think 2023 that's not going to be true anymore. And then I think it's never going to be true again, because they're just different assets. Like gold is in no way tied to the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. It's just not. It's its own separate asset class.
But it's loosely tied to it. You know why I say that? I guess I always say the tide rise for everything. Well,
yeah, to the extent if everything's on fire, then and that's on fire too. But there's no. You're not going to draw a correlation. I mean, just look at the price of gold. Look at the price of gold over a 5-year, 15-year, 30-year period against the performance of the S&P 500. And you will see just how radically different those two assets are. So I feel the same way about Bitcoin, but it has not yet matured. Bitcoin is still, this is very early days. It may not feel like it, and this may have felt like a long year. It's been over a year since we hit a high, but this is a new emerging asset class, and there's going to be a lot of money coming. There's a lot of money at stake. So the big money, they want in. They're not in yet the way they wanted to be. So that's That's what I think is the overlying thing that's happening here, is they're not in the way they want to be, and they drag their feet on the regulations. They don't put out an ETF. Those things suppress the price of Bitcoin on their own, not to mention the entire market cap is so small that it's easy to suppress, in that regard. So they're accumulating. That's what I think.
Well, and then the other thing too is Bitcoin has done, because nobody actually quote unquote owns it, has done a terrible job explaining how they're energy efficient and why there is a use for Bitcoin. And the question is, what exactly does it do?
What would you say? Yeah, and that is because the noise. Okay, so I'm going to use the letters this time. The ESG narrative has just been an outright assault on Bitcoin, in my personal opinion. That is its purpose.
I don't
and it's
agree
not
with that.
just Bitcoin. There's, first of all, the SG, everybody can forget about, because no one's even pretending the S and the G even matter at all. It's ESG equals E, and in that equation, Bitcoin is enemy number one. As far as that's the narrative that's been drawn around this, and it's not true. I mean, I don't want to spend a half an hour digging in, but I think a lot of you guys know the reality is that these Bitcoin miners are, by providing a base level of demand, they will allow the world's energy grid to get bigger and stronger. So that's and obviously they have an incentive to be as highly as efficient as they possibly can be, because it's their main cost of their sales, of their mining. So and that brings me to this chart where if I am to believe this, we peaked, the worldwide hash rate got up to 316 exahash on Halloween, on October 31st. So that's just a little over 1 month ago. So that was the all-time peak. That was also simultaneous with the increase to the all-time highest difficulty level. So the other day, and this was almost a one-day anomaly, this was down to 200 from 316. So that's 116 exahash. To put it in perspective, like, Core Scientific was the monster of all of these Bitcoin miners, and they're at like 14 exahash. You're talking about 116 being turned off between here and there. And now we're back to 280, which means 80 exahash is back online over the last few days. So I don't know if that's really happening. Maybe these minor fluctuations in the price of Bitcoin are the difference between, a quarter of the machines making money or losing money, and people are turning them on and off. But that can't go on forever. At some point, your business model can't be, sometimes I get to turn my machines on and make a couple of bucks. Like, those people will be gone, in my opinion. Kyle's asking, Tom, have you heard if the mining machines that are waiting to get into Argentina are ready on Bitfarms' balance sheet? If so, they should not be delaying installation if using import ban as reason. So I think some of those, yes, some of those machines that are already in their possession that are not hooked up and running. Some of them, they have renegotiated the terms so that they're not in their possession yet, is how I understand it. But some of them are already in their possession, and they're just not, they're not plugging them in down there. So that's as far as I know. We'll have to get Ben back on the channel also, and maybe he can give us a better update. He was very, if you remember when we talked to Ben, he was very, what what am I going to say, ambiguous about when and how they were going to proceed in Argentina. So they were not making any commitments publicly at that point. And I, to me, I think that's what they're doing makes sense. AMD is saying, do you think CleanSpark will continue to purchase more mining machines as Bitcoin is at 16K or so? That's a great question. I just did a CleanSpark video today. I'm waiting. December 14th, CleanSpark's financial statements will come out, and we're going to learn a lot from that. I like their operational reports. I really like all the moves they made this year. I feel very comfortable, but I do want to see their 10Q because there's some stuff I'd like to take a closer look at, and I think they got aggressive and made a lot of purchases. I don't know that they need to do a lot more of that, and I don't know that they're going to do a lot more of that. If Bitcoin is sideways at 16 or 17,000, I think they are smart to call a timeout. They basically doubled their exahash rate. So, that's enough. If Bitcoin's going to do what George said, then it would be a mistake for them to go, they're talking about 22.4 exahash by the end of 2023. If Bitcoin is at $17,000 a year from now, then, that probably is that would be getting to 22 exahash would not be a smart business move.
And I'm almost to the point where it's cheaper right now to buy it than it is to mine it, correct?
Well, for me and
people,
you.
Yeah.
And, John Q. Public, it's cheaper to buy it than it is to mine it. For, we talked to Bitfarms. We looked at, we got to most of these people. CleanSpark's really the last financial statements. It's the last 10Q I'm waiting for. There's some smaller that I don't care as much about that haven't come out yet, but we know what their cost is. I got for Bitfarms, I got to see what their cost was per Bitcoin in the third quarter. So, and we've been comparing this quarter over quarter. So if you go back, I'll be doing another one of those videos. Like I said, I'm waiting for the 14th. CleanSpark comes out. After that, I'll have all the information to update everybody's third quarter financials and compare all the companies. But there were several companies that were able to reduce the cost per coin. And Ben from Bitfarms did tell us directly, like, they are totally unaffected by all this energy problem. They are 100% hydro, right? They won't be once they're in Argentina, but they're 100% hydro. They have longer term contracts, and Kevin, thank you, sir. You are the champion.
Number one fan.
Kevin.
You know that?
I know. Kevin's the champion. I'm not sure if you got a question for me, Kevin, please ask it. We appreciate the support. So Gary's saying next to Core losing more money every month than any miner currently. It's not the size of the debt, it's the interest. All right. Patient Bill is saying it's not the size of the debt, it's the interest. You're dishonest. So I guess Patient Bill is calling me dishonest. So
why are you dishonest?
I don't know. Patient Bill says it's not the size of the debt, it's the interest. You're dishonest. So here's the thing with debt. So I disagree with that, but that's okay. Patient Bill thinks I'm dishonest. The thing about debt is you've got to pay interest and principal, right? And most of the debt now, if Patient Bill is a marathon holder, then he's probably looking at it going, you know what? We got convertible debt at 1%, so no principal is due until 2026, and the interest is very low. So you need to know how the debt is structured. But for almost every single other Bitcoin miner that has taken out debt, like 2 years is about the longest term, and it's not interest only for 2 years. It's interest and principal, so that you've paid 100% back in 2 years. So it really is the debt, the principal. It's not the interest that's putting these companies out of business. It's the principal that they have to default on. They're not paying back their principal. That's what just happened to Core Scientific. They could not pay, they could pay their interest. They couldn't pay the principal amount due, and they defaulted on their loans. So it depends on the company. So Bill's saying, Core's debt is toxic, whereas Mara's 1%, yet you keep repeating the lie. So I've never repeated that lie. I've been incredibly crystal. Patient Bill, I guess, doesn't watch our videos. I'm super crystal clear about that. Marathon's debt is convertible debt. So technically, in all likelihood, it's probably not even going to end up being paid back ever. If Marathon can get to where it's going, that's all going to convert to equity. So, and in the meantime, they get to pay 1%. So yes, they have the best debt out of any of the Bitcoin miners, but they are alone. There's not another miner that has debt structured like that. I mean, they timed the market to perfection. They got, they did all that when their stock was trading at their all-time high, and good for them. And I've complimented them many, many, many times on the channel that, that was, financially speaking, they've made some excellent moves. It's operationally that I've been very frustrated with Marathon. They haven't been doing what they're saying operationally. They did have a good month in October, so I had a really nice things to say. And again, I got ridiculed for that. And people thought, oh, now you're saying nice things because people are paying you, which is not true. So anyway, yes, their debt is definitely fundamentally different. So if that's your point, Patient Bill.
I have a feeling that Patient Bill is a fan of somebody else. A fan.
Patient Bill is saying, no, I'm calling Gary dishonest.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, so hopefully, Patient Bill, I've expressed what you're trying to express. I think that's the difference between Marathon's debt and Core's debt and some of the other, and there's other companies out there that have debt that, not to the extent that Core Scientific did, right? They had $1 billion of debt. But for a lot of these companies, $100 million is a big problem. So most of these companies are not to scale like Core Scientific and Marathon and Riot are. So, $100 million or $200 million in debt can roll them over. Let's see. Jeff saying 30,000 Bitcoin at 20K, 600 million if Bitcoin is down in a few years. Bye-bye, Mara's hodl. So I guess he's saying, well, and then Marathon does have some short-term debt where they've put up their Bitcoin as security. So Anthony Powers. So Gary is saying Anthony Powers drew that conclusion. I don't know who that is, but apparently
you missed one that somebody said that Bitfarm probably wasn't going to make it.
All right, was that up further?
Yeah, it was up. It was up quite a bit. Somebody's like, yeah.
I'm scrolling.
Oh, you missed our prediction. We can give you our predictions again, Kevin. He wanted our predictions. I'll tell you my predictions. We did a best case, worst case, most likely case. Mine was worst case is like 3,500, 3,800. Most likely case is probably right around where we're at right now. Best case is like 25 for me. Now, Tom, totally different.
And that's your 1 year outlook.
Yeah, 1 year. One year.
So it's because I think George and I have, and you may be changing your mind. I think we have similar 5-year outlooks, and we have very different 1 year outlooks.
I think it comes it comes to politics. I think I won't say any more than I should and get myself in trouble. It just comes to versus a recession versus a growth economy. You know what I mean? If the economy's doing well, I think Bitcoin's going to do well. If the economy's doing bad, I think
well, and as we just learned in the year 2022, if we learned anything, trying to predict where something's going in the short term, you can be dramatically incorrect.
Yes. So what were you? What was your numbers, Tom?
My low was, I think, 25,000 by December 31st, 2023. That would be my low. I think we're
I am making a spreadsheet on Google as we speak.
Do it. Hold me to it. That would be my low case scenario. I think we're likely to be above 50,000. So that would be my likely. And then, I think we could hit our all-time. I think we could hit our all-time high again in 2023. So that was like just under 70,000. So I'll say 75,000.
So you're 25, 60, and 75?
Yes. 25, 50, and 75.
How can we be so different?
Well, I wish I could tell you which one of us was right. I don't know. I don't know that I'm right or if you're right. That's the whole thing about it.
I'm raising my hand.
All right. All right.
Well, it's like I said, because it's just there's too many problems coming next year.
Thank you again, Kevin. I'm sorry to interrupt, George.
Right, it's okay. We haven't worked out these problems, and one of the main problems is regulations on Bitcoin and or other cryptocurrencies.
And Kevin's saying it's a good practice to keep a journal on your thoughts and predictions. Helps with managing expectations over time, which is very true. And I, like
you
a lot of
the beginning of this. You should have watched the beginning. You might want to go back and rewind this because we were talking about that with companies, and that we were saying that a company should take and have three scenarios, and I mean that's what we were always taught in business school, right?
Yes, and if I reflect on this year, I would say that my expectations were absolutely incorrect.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, and
they just were. I mean, I'm not the only person.
I'm going to tell you the things that I say. I realize I can't. When you know too much, you don't say. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm know-it-all, which I am, but I'm not saying I am. What I'm saying is I'm practical. And what you find is this is the thing that people don't understand. The greed from people is unbelievable, and people will do anything to cheat the system. And I know that. And that's why I wish I would have known a few other things about Bitcoin miners before. Like, I totally understand how mining works. I can say when I got into this, I had no idea how mining worked. But now I do. Trying to buy miners, trying to set up our own mining stores. We don't live in a black and white world. We live
Good night, Wim. Thanks for joining us.
We live in a world that is, not as it seems, I think is probably the best answer. And I think that Bitcoin is a truth machine. And I think that Bitcoin is a cause. And I think that everybody on this channel understands that cause, and I think that there's powers that be that don't like that cause.
Well, and I think that's why you and I have similar 5-year outlooks.
Right.
You think it's going to take a lot longer to shake all this out and get to where we're going. Versus, I think that this was our year of pain. And there may be some more ahead. I'm not saying there's zero more pain ahead. But
remember that, what was it in Wall Street? Greed is good.
Greed, for lack of a better word,
is not good when you're holding the stock of that company. Sorry. Greed is not good.
Greed is a part of the investment world, unfortunately. It just is what it is. Let's see. You guys should be predicting the price for the fourth quarter in 23.
That's what we're doing.
That is, yes, Darren, I think that is what we're doing. We're saying December 31st, 2023. That's what we're predicting right now. My prediction for December 31st, 2022, I've already admitted it's just not going to happen. I thought we'd get to 30, and then I thought we'd get to 25. 25 I don't know about, but
So why are I kind of gave you the reasons why I thought my predictions were the way they were. Why do you feel your predictions are the way they are? Ooh, well, like what meat do you have to back that up?
So the couple of things that I would say is the list I mentioned earlier. There is a gigantic list of catalysts that are going to lift Bitcoin higher, and we literally in the year 2022, when it's almost over, 0 of those catalysts occurred. I don't think there can be more FUD than there was in the year 2022. And don't forget, remember, we went to the Bitcoin conference and listened to all those people. These companies are getting destroyed by ESG. Just absolutely. Yeah. And it's just not in my, it's not, I'm going to call it, it's not the truth. It's just not the truth. The narrative around the Bitcoin miners, in my very strong opinion, is just not accurate at all as it pertains to energy consumption, the energy grid, and all those other things. But they have been able, some high-profile people have made it a point to spread that and keep that in the forefront. And you know who I'm talking about. And they're powerful people, and that's what they did. So, but you only get to go, they already pulled that card. And I will tell you, I've seen a lot of regular news. So I watch investment stuff, but I've seen this creep into the regular news where a lot of people are starting to say, what is ESG, and why are my companies doing something that's making them lose money? Because I hold a stock for my company to make money. Why are they making decisions to lose money? That is a more and more prevalent conversation amongst regular investors and regular people.
Do you think, see, ESG it's not going away anytime soon. I don't think it'll go away next year. And now, if you talk about ESG going away next year, then I have a different forecast for Bitcoin.
I don't think it's going away.
But here's why I say that. Hang on. Is because, like, for an example, Apple can't buy Bitcoin right now with their freaking gazillions of dollars. And can you imagine if they could? Because they would get destroyed.
They'll be ridiculed.
Right. And so that's why they don't do it.
Well,
but if that changes and it becomes popular again, or how about green? I don't know. You know what I mean? I think that is a big catalyst that would cause Bitcoin to really move quickly. Even if Elon Musk got into it deeply again.
There's a handful of people who could give a nod and change this narrative. I'll just say, Larry Fink started this. He wrote his shareholder letter for the beginning of the year 2022 was everything's all about ESG and we're killing the planet. So I'm paraphrasing, but you guys, it's right on his website. You can go read what he said. And that set the tone for the year 2022, and that held strong. And then a lot of other people jumped on top of that. And I don't want to come off, I think, because here's the problem. This is what everybody's afraid to say what I'm saying, because now you guys may think like, oh, this guy doesn't care about the environment. And that's completely false. Like, I think we should do everything practical to be good stewards of our environment. And there's a lot of things that we can do and should do that make sense. But I don't think we should do the things that are just virtue signaling that really aren't doing any good. And, in some ways, they're hurting.
Well, and especially when China is doing what China's doing. That's the problem. You can't say that China is an emerging market anymore. You just can't say that anymore.
China produces so much more coal than we ever did at our all-time peak. It's multiples more coal. And if you think they're doing it clean like we do, I got a bridge.
I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn.
That's right. Let me see if I can catch up on the stream. Hello, Robert. Robert said hello to everybody. Jeff, I feel people give Bitfarm no credit for what their debt gets them. Once that Galaxy loan is gone, the remaining debt gets them 7 exahash a 60% increase from 4.4 right now. So I agree, Jeff. That's exactly right. I think the market is pricing in that they're going to fail before then. And somebody else earlier, said the market's pricing them to fail, and that's what's happening, because you are right. And they're almost done getting rid of their bad debt. The other debt, got them, I think that's secured by about 16,000 machines, and that does get them to 7 or 7.2 exahash or something like that. So ultimately, if Bitcoin gets healthy at all, Bitfarms has a clear path to 7 exahash.
Jeff agrees with me.
Darren saying December 31st, 2023, he's at Bitcoin $34,000.
I mean, there's just too many things, you know what I mean? And that's my problem, is we got, it's like the car's going down the road.
I just put a link. Anybody who's interested, we do have a membership. So I know a bunch of you members are on the chat right now. Hello, Alex. So I put it, if it's $5 a month, no, it's your own thing, but we do some extra stuff. We have an extra live stream for the members only, and some extra videos and that kind of stuff.
It's George Uncut.
That's right. We're a little more unfiltered than
when I bite. I don't bite my tongue on Tuesday. So if you want to know how I really think, go on Tuesday and you'll know.
Let's see. Alex is saying, my view, Florida governor has provided the fuel to spotlight the injustice of ESG not dealing with BlackRock. By not dealing with BlackRock. Yeah, I mean, yes. Thank you, Alex. That's a shot they got to shoot one time. They've done it. It will get undone over time. And the Bitcoin miners in specific will do a better job of communicating this. I know they're suffering to try to communicate what the reality is. I mean, you've got Bitfarms that uses 100% hydro. So, and so does Hive. But that doesn't seem to be part of anybody's narrative. A lot of the energy they use is energy that would otherwise be wasted or put out into the atmosphere. So, there's a lot of different variables. And I think ESG, is it going to be gone and is it all bad? Like there's an ESG concept that could be a good thing. They've taken it and some bad actors are doing bad things with it, in my opinion.
Well, and think about it too. It probably in the scheme of things helped, push prices down lower. And I mean, I think that's where you want to be if you already own everything. And you could move your position right.
It helped put the stock prices lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is not good for John Q. Public, who has a 401k plan or whatever the other, retirement plan, and it's getting thrashed through no fault of their own. Mike Robinson, good for the ecosystem and peace in the world. Exactly. I think we're all on the same page on that one. Crypto is a good, this is Joe. Crypto is a good balance of minters and ecosystem. Colton says $5 a month. Yes, it's $5 a month. So, whatever you guys, obviously. Joe said, Tom, have a look at CRYP. Is that what you're saying, Joe? Nobody talks about it. Let me know if is that a ticker? Is that a coin? Let me know. Mike Robinson, end of year 2023 for CleanSpark. Okay, so he's going for a CleanSpark prediction, $9 to $12. And I got to feel like most people would be happy with that, right? Yeah. And the thing is, that's less than That's less than their 2022 high. This was a $16 stock not so long ago. So, and by the way, it was a $40 stock just a little bit before that. So, Alex is saying Elon's Twitter will uncover the truth about many ideologies. So I hope you're right. I think that seems like what's happening, but you know, there's a lot of noise surrounding all of that too, and there's going to be a lot of pushing in both directions. But in the end, don't we all want whatever the truth? Okay, so CRYP is an ETF.
Do you want the truth?
We want the truth. Yes. As much of it as we need. Actually, ignorance is bliss. So
you live a better life that way.
it's true.
Right, you know? Let Elon worry about the main stuff, and
he's got us covered.
Okay.
Robert is saying, does CleanSpark still have more paid-for miners to come online? I thought we were expecting over 6 exahash with acquisitions and purchases they made. I believe, if my math is correct, they have purchased a total to get them to 7 exahash. And I think that it's just now, and again, this is just my speculation, I think they've slowed it down a little so that that's going to happen maybe in February of 2023. Instead of, I think if they had made a push, they could have done that in December of 2022. That's just me reading all their press releases and adding up everything that they bought this year. And they made so many purchases this year. But yeah, they should get to 7 exahash.
You know what we didn't do? Congratulations to the Buffalo Bills for winning last night. They played a great game. Sorry, I know this is an investment, but we're fans of Buffalo Bills.
Lifelong fans, and we've suffered all the losses, so go Bills.
Go Bills.
Alex is telling you, George, that you can't handle the truth.
I can't, you know what's really sad? I don't think anybody could.
Well, listen,
Did you hear me?
I don't need to know 100% of all truths everywhere. That's for sure. I got enough in my brain already, so you're right.
I mean, think about it. Would you really want to? I mean, really, truly want to know?
If it doesn't affect us, and there's nothing we can do about it, then, you know.
Oh, and that's what I was going to tell everybody. Anybody live in Georgia? Don't forget, vote. You can vote today, tomorrow, and Tuesday.
Scott Richardson saying MicroStrategy 2023. $720.
Yeah, marathon rally, please. I mean, going up 12% today is a pretty big rally. I mean, that's huge.
What?
Marathon going up 12% in one day.
Oh, Marathon they had a nice day today. That's been a volatile stock. I mean, they all have. Hey, we're now way above. We're back above where we were before the jobs number came out this morning.
Where are we?
We're at 17,053.
Yeah, it's gonna creep up. It's the weekend.
That would be nice. Listen, I hope I just don't want it to creep up all weekend long and then tank at 4 in the morning, Monday morning, right before the market opens.
8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
8:30. It's right around 8:30 is when it does. Well, I'm gonna sneak out, Tom.
All right, George. Thank you so much for joining us.
Peace, love, and prosperity. Oh,
right back.
We didn't even talk. We real quick. We ended up having to take an Uber someplace, and the person that happened to be in the Uber was from China. You need to pray for the people in China. He was telling us some stuff, and that's another reason why I have a low prediction for Bitcoin.
Yes,
At some point in time, though, when the uncertainty gets really high, I think that's when Bitcoin finally flips. Whenever that is.
When what happens?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading.
When things get so uncertain, and then, you know what I mean, with everything, that's when Bitcoin flips.
When uncertainty increases, you're saying?
Yes.
when it flips to negative.
Right.
Which you think is going to be shortly.
I don't know. That's the one thing that, it's so hard to predict this next year, because there's just so many variables. This is I mean, again, I haven't changed my 5-year, but next year could be a really bad year, but then again, it could be a really good year too. I could see reasons why it could be, but I'm still thinking it's going to be bad.
It's only time will tell. I mean, we can all have our theory and our feelings, but the truth is, the events are going to unfold. Some of which we can't even fathom right now, and
no,
we're going to end up where we end up.
Peace.
All right, George. Thanks. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.
You too, buddy. See you guys. Thanks again for watching, everyone.
All right, so I'm just going to keep going for a bit. Alex is saying Bitcoin has to break 17,700 to continue moving upward, I think. So I completely agree with that. And that's just around I got my red line at like 17,600. That, somewhere plus or minus of that was the flash crash in June. And even that flash crash, people have to remember, even on that one day, we flash crashed down to around 17.5, but we closed very close to 19,000 on that day. So that really was just a flash crash. So now that we've taken that out and we're so much lower than that, you're right. I think step one is we've got to get above that, reestablish that as a strong line of support, and then we can jump from there. So Alex is saying that's resistance as my chart sees. Scott, what you think? So, I mean, we're going to find out. This is definitely an important line. Let's go to the 1 day. It looks so far away on the 15-minute. But when you look on the 1 day, I mean, this was FTX. So it's important to remember because this was an outlying event. This was FTX. Right, we were up over 20,000, well over 20,000. So, and even this was the rumblings of FTX. So this whole move was a gigantic move to a place where I don't think we ever would have gone had it not been for this event. Now, events like this are going to happen. So this may not be the last event that happens. But I will say, if you look at these two tiny little red days, that was Genesis. So, everybody was worried that Genesis and Grayscale, and it was going to be a contagion to everywhere. But the panic, even with that panic, all it did was just retest the same spot it got down to on the FTX panic. So, to me, that was a very encouraging double bottom. And we've been moving in the right direction then. Slower than I'd like, but still moving in the right direction. Are you going to get CleanSpark on for an interview? Yeah, I gotta get with them. I talked to Isaac like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just didn't follow up. So everybody seems like they're so unbelievably busy. So we got Sue on the boards for next week. I think the 8th, and then I'll try and get. I'd like to talk to Isaac and Matt from CleanSpark. So I'm going to see if I can make that happen. And then obviously I will reach out to, listen, Marathon reached out to me. I thought that was very nice. It was very cordial, and they said they'd like to share with the audience. So I'll most likely have them on. Let's see. All right, we got a George that says, I totally agree with you on the Bitcoin predictions. I just don't know if this George agrees with the other George or me. Okay, Scott's saying they have thrown the kitchen sink at us, but we didn't fold, and it would have been so easy to tank. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of my feeling is like what... yeah, they can keep attacking, but they're so long into attacking the Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin itself, cryptocurrency. And I will also add, we do need some changes, right? We've been talking about on the channel, we need the exchanges, if they want to act like brokers or banks, then we need some regulations so that all your money doesn't disappear one day. So to me, that's fair. And I'm not a big regulations guy, but when money is involved, there's got to be some transparency so that we know what's going on. And then the other piece that I think is important is with the stable coins, we need some transparency to ensure, in fact, that they are stable. As we saw one stable coin get depegged and become worthless. Now, that was a different type of stable coin, but still, the bottom line is it's about transparency. If we can't see behind the curtain, then we really can't be sure these stable coins are in fact stable. So to me, those are the two gigantic regulations that are coming. There may be tons and tons of nickel and dime regulations past that, but I think they're gonna try and get a handle on these exchanges. You know, FTX is the shining example of what they don't want another one of those deals to happen. And the stable coins have to be stable. Beyond that, I really don't think they're going to tinker, you know, with individual coins that much, in my opinion. But we'll see. Mike saying The Road to Perdition was a good film. I don't know who that is in response to. That was a while back, Mike. It's like 15 years ago. What was that? Who's that? Tom Hanks, maybe? I saw that movie. Oh, George is saying George agrees with my predictions. All right, so anybody else got any other thoughts or questions? Or let me go to the 15 minute and see if we can get. Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of 15-minute green candles in a row. Maybe we'll have a good weekend. I'm hoping we get up and test this line over the weekend. You know, even if we got to bounce off of it once or twice to get through it. We got to get up here if we really want to get to, where's the 4 hour? Because this is this was November 9th, so that was FTX. This was November 21st. This was Genesis and Grayscale. And, I mean, we've been on an upward trajectory since then, by and large. So let's see if we can keep rallying and get back to some of these points that we've been missing. Oh, also, I did write down, I can't remember who told me this, but NILIF. Somebody was asking me. Oh, and Darren, yes, I'm going to release the plug video tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me. So that was one of the members only videos. We did a deep dive on plug. And so I'm going to release that to everybody tomorrow. So, and then we've got some more past that, and I'm working on another one right now. So, WonderFi. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. I always want to take the time to thank everybody on the live stream for being on the live stream with us. Thank you for watching the videos. Our views have been up, so I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. It does make a difference. Our subscribers are growing, so all that stuff is all because of you guys, so I appreciate it. And all the comments, I still try to read every single comment that I get. I'm having a hard time responding to 100% of all comments, but I'm doing my best. So I do spend a lot of time on that as well, and I appreciate the comments. So, and obviously to the members, thank you very much for supporting the channel. So thanks to everybody. Let's see. We've got Darren said thumbs up. Charles says NNDM has special meeting and proxy vote on 12/13. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for that information. All right, so great. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned. I definitely have some videos coming out this weekend in addition to the plug video that was for members. So, all right, have a great weekend. Kevin, thank you again if you're still here. All right, everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a good night.